Hey guys, on this week's episode of Good Luck Sis, we have three-time guest. Yes, I said it, three-time guest, Jada, also known as the Greenline Planner, here with us to talk all things financing, budget, garden financing, social media, and everything in between. So go ahead and tune into this week's episode.
I feel you watching me pull up across the room. I think you like the view. You gonna make a move. I don't make this easy for you.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Good Luck Sis. I'm your host, Tati J.
And I'm your host, Ellie.
And we have three-time champ, okay? Three-time returning guest with us today. It's been, I think, 2 years since the last time we've had her, but I can't wait to dive into this episode because since we've talked to her last, baby, the growth, the elevation, the leveling up she's done I'm just so happy for her, and it's truly inspiring to see. So we have Jada here with us, otherwise known as the Greenline Planner. Woo-woo. Hi, Jada.
Thanks for having me on again for the third time. This is truly a blessing.
Thanks for saying yes and coming back. So for those who don't know or may not remember, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
So my name is Jada. I'm a budget coach for young adults, and I absolutely love what I do because I get to watch people go from very insecure with their finances to confident and maybe stressed out to really feeling very secure with what they're doing and also what the plan is for their future. So it's absolutely a blessing to just see people's lives transform in front of my eyes, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Can you remind us, how old are you?
24.
Okay. Because I feel like that's important because it's just like, you're so young and you're in and dominating a field that people in their 50s and 60s are still struggling with. Mm-hmm. So to see you this young, being so passionate about it and making incredible strides, not just for yourself, but for other people who look like you and who are either older than you, but also as young as you, baby girl, go ahead and continue to strive. So just to jump in, we're going to do a little icebreaker, just some rapid fire questions. I feel like this, especially now in TikTok, a lot of things going about financial freedom. How do you, get out of debt? Credit card for travel, all these other things. So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. So what is your top credit card that you would recommend?
So the top one, honestly, would probably be the Wells Fargo Active Cash Card because it gives you 2% cash back. There's no entry fee or none of that. And plus, Wells Fargo is a pretty well-known bank, and they have a lot of branches everywhere. So I feel like it's a really good card to have on hand.
Okay, Wells Fargo. And then what would you say is your top high-yield savings accounts?
I would say Marcus because, one, I just like the name.
And I've never heard of it.
They have a 4.4 interest rate.
Wow, it's called Marcus?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's an online bank, so they don't have any physical branches. But that's okay. They're FDIC insured.
I wonder if it's Black owned because Marcus is a very African American name.
Right.
It is. All right, and then your last one. What is your favorite financial tip that you give to your clients?
I always tell them to put money away in a savings account, and then after they're done savings and hitting that goal, to stop and actually start investing their money, because investing is the best thing you can do rather than saving it. Just because saving, it really just sits there. Mm-hmm. And if it's not a high yield savings account, it's collecting dust, honestly. Yeah. So reach a goal and then start investing after that.
Okay. That's good. I've never heard that. That's really good. So would you say to invest all of it or just a sum of that?
Well, I would say if you're putting away, let's say $500 a month into your savings account, once you hit your goal, start redirecting that $500 into
Yeah. Okay.
So savings on hand for emergencies, but then after that, redirect your money toward a different purpose.
Got it. That makes sense. Well, so the last time we talked, I want to say from what I remember, it's been a while. So I follow you on all social media platforms. So I'm going to go based off what I see currently. So You are no longer working your 9 to 5 as a manager at the coffee shop, right?
Yes.
Did I make that? Okay. I know you. Okay. So I know you. You're no longer there. Did you just recently move to? or no?
I moved into a bigger place
Okay,
in the city.
yes. Okay,
So,
yes, okay. And then, but you're also saving for another place, I
Yes,
believe.
I'll save it for
Okay. And you've had a major growth on social media, TikTok, Instagram, and congratulations, it's your 4-year anniversary. So
Thank
yay.
you.
And also you launched your app. Baby, I follow her.
Yeah,
I know her. You launched your app. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so
I
much.
messaged you for the app. You know what? I think you did. It's like you had like a video, and then you comment, and then it comes directly to you. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Oh my God. So you're like,
I just have to put that out there. But I see all your comments and I try to like everyone.
Yes,
you
thank
like have grown, and even though it's been 2 years since we've talked to you, but all of this has happened recently. Like all your blessings are pouring out once, and I'm so happy to see that. So can you just bring us through that journey of basically all your life updates?
Yes. So actually, back in 2023 of April, I got laid off from my other job and I started working my business full time. But then I got really scared just because finances were not projecting well. So as a budget coach, having faith incorporating with finances is kind of like, you gotta have to know the balance between practicalities and then having faith. And so I feel like I was projecting the numbers. I was like, this is not looking good. So I went ahead and got a job, and that's when I was doing the managing at the coffee shops. And then I was just like, this is not it. Like I need to do something else. I want to go back. Like I shouldn't have chose fear over faith. And then I was praying for like 6 months, just really making sure that I was not moving too quickly or outside of God's will. So I was praying for 6 months. I finally got the answer to go ahead and quit my job, and I did. And now we're here. And so many blessings have honestly come, and literally everything that I have, I cannot take any of the credit for it. I have to give God all the glory because it just fell in my lap. People will really ask, like, "Oh, how did you get this? And what did you do to get that?" I'm like, "Listen, they emailed me." So yeah, like that's honestly the answer. I do work hard in a lot of areas of my business, but I really feel like it is a partnership between God and I, because I let him be the CEO and I say, God, I'm just the employee. Tell me what you want me to do.
Amen.
I love it.
Yes.
I love that. So and it's funny because I noticed the shift in your content, and it was going more towards God as the center. And I was like, because I want to say sometime last year, maybe finances, I was just like, God, what's going on here? Because this it's not matching what I need my life to be. And I was on TikTok, and this woman was talking about this 21-day financial prayer challenge thing where every day you find a scripture in the Bible that's about finances, and you read it, you study on it, you meditate it, you pray on it. And I remember I started, and then during one of the prayers, I was like, God, I just want to be paid $100 for me performing poetry, something that I love, something that I care about. And I was already offered an opportunity to perform, but it was only getting paid $40. I swear a day or two later, she's like, oh, I just got grant money. I'm going to pay you exactly $100 for it. And I was like, okay, God, you are moving in my life in a financial way. Definitely, I have to become more devoted to God in general, but especially finances are so important. I think sometimes we just don't think God and finances go together. Yeah. So how did you make that connection?
So that was really the biggest thing, was I wanted to give God the glory publicly. I didn't want to just be talking about God and then separating what I do now from my Christian lifestyle at home. So I'm like, let me mix the two. And I wouldn't necessarily always recommend that. But I definitely felt like he was telling me that I should go ahead and like mix the two and put my faith out there publicly. It was a big leap because, you have to deal with a lot of comments that are attacking you and your faith. But I think it was really easy for me because that was what I do on a day-to-day basis. I incorporate my faith with my finances. I have to give my finances to him, because if not, I don't think I would be. So it's a must for me. And I want to show other people how to do the same thing, because I know that a lot of people aren't talking about it. And a lot of times kind of think that, okay, finances is my thing. God, you can have everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so, no, he wants us to submit everything to him and give it all to him. Finances are included. And it's a real big stigma about it, just because, you know, people usually think like, oh, you know, if you're rich, then that means that you're
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. And money is not an evil thing itself. And you can see by just how many verses in the Bible there are about money. And people leave out the key part of the verse, which is the love of money. Money itself. And so we have to differentiate, okay, am I in love with money? And is this what I'm like praising, worshiping, and like seeking? Or is it God that I'm seeking, and I'm allowing money to be a vehicle for him to bless me and bless others? So it's definitely a big question that we have to answer for ourselves, and then switch our perspective based on that.
Absolutely. I've shared previously, I think when we did I don't remember which episode we did together, but I've shared before how like I've had my relationship with God when it comes to money. I find that growing up, I was taught to, you know, pay my tithes and offering. And it's like, when people mention it, it's just like, oh, okay, I really don't got to do it. But then as you get older and you experience money with God, you're like, when you're faithful with God, and God tells you to be faithful with your money, when you are faithful to God and faithful with your money too, God continues to bless you. And I say this all the time, and that's just my testimony with money and God. Is just like, when I'm faithful with my money, I give my tithes and offering, I receive more blessing. And I'm not just saying like, let me do this so I can receive more blessing, but that's my experience, and that's God showing off. I remember when I got my first job, my first paycheck went all to tithes and offering. But that was my commitment to God, because I was like, God, I'm going to get this job, and in 6 months, I want a promotion. But to show you my dedication and devotion to you, God, I'm going to give you all my paycheck. And my first paycheck did that. And for every job I received so far, I usually give a lump sum of money. And Tati have seen it in college. I would go to like the mall and would draw like
so
cash.
much. When she was Tati, I haven't paid.
I got
to do. I'm like, oh, wow,
if I didn't pay for 5 months, I would just take all my paycheck and just like, you know, add it. And I just like, everyone has to experience that type of a relationship with God with money. I say it's a personal relationship, and like, you can't tell someone to do that. They just have to like experience it and learn from it too. So it's great seeing your experience.
It is. One thing I remember seeing when you do your breakdown worksheets of like, let's learn on based on this amount of month. I mean, this amount per week that you make or whatever. And you factored in the 10% for tithes. And I was like, wow. Yeah. I've never ever seen that in terms of like someone who's advocating for financial, like, you know, literacy, financial wealth, all of that. Take the time to literally not just say God, 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 but incorporate what he requires of us financially into that breakdown. And I was like, oh, this girl's serious.
I love it.
Like, I was just so like, because like I said, you don't see that. I was just so amazed. And like you said, so many people have the misconception of money is the root to all evil, blah, 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 not knowing intent matters. What you do with it matters. So like I said, to combine those two worlds, proud of you, takes a lot of bravery, because like you said, the comments, sometimes people are just like, you know, they interpret their version of what they read in the Bible a lot differently than other people. So continue to do that and continue to put God at the forefront. And I'm proud of you for doing that.
Thank you so much.
No problem. So one thing that you mentioned in terms of like everything happening in all these new chapters in your life is just kind of like God is the CEO and you're just an employee, and you just, you know, you prayed for 6 months and then boom, I'm leaving this job. So, but were you financially ready to make that decision? And is right now the Greenline plan, is this your main source of income?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah? Because in the beginning it wasn't, and now it is.
I remember you were also working your catering part-time too.
Yeah, so I actually still do that just because like I love doing it. It brings me joy. So that's something that I do is just kind of like to fulfill. Mine, but it's not because I need it, and I love that because it definitely did transition from a need to a desire.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I
so
love that
for noticing that.
Of course.
And what was the question?
It's okay. Were you financially ready when you made that? Well, when God made that decision for you to walk away from your 9 to 5?
So technically, I felt like I was not. but I then realized that I was. He had
Mm-hmm.
blessed me with a couple brand deals right before he told me to exit. And so I just saved the money up. I didn't do anything with it. I was like, okay, God, you blessed me with this. I'm going to wait until you tell me what to do with the money. So he essentially gave me all this money and I was like, okay, I'm going to save it and I don't know what I'm going to use it for. And when it came down to the time to leave my job, that has basically been kind of supplementing a lot of what I'm already receiving monthly while building the strategy that he's put in play for me. So yeah, that's really what it is.
It's amazing.
Wow.
I love hearing success stories like this.
I love the fact that we've been able to see it from the beginning. And I think that's why I'm just like, the joy is so over the moon because I'm like, I just remember the first episode and it's like, you were such in a different place. And then now look at you and just, it's so good to see. I just feel like it's like a little sister that's growing up. Right. And you're just like, oh, wow, look at her go. Okay. So you mentioned that you're in the process, even though you just moved to a larger place, you're in the process of saving to move again. This economy is not for us. Even just getting an apartment is insane amount of money, let alone if you wanted to get a house. But what is advice you would give to someone who is currently in debt, like maybe student loans, but also wants to save and get in a house and apartment? Because I think right now, the way things look financially for our generation, it's kind of like either or. If you have debt, you can't even think about saving for anything because you have to pay that off. Or it's kind of like, I'm going to put my debt to the side, let it get even worse, but at least I'm going to save enough to get my own house. So how do you have a healthy balance, or should you focus on one more than the other first?
Well, I would definitely focus on debt. That's just because that one is going to be costing you more money over time anyway. But if you want to do both at the same time, really just be realistic with the expectation of how long it's going to take. Because if you don't have as much money as you would want to put to the side for your home, then just be realistic with it might take you 5 years instead of 2. So just making sure that you know what the expectation is so that kind of like letting yourself down in a way and kind of getting frustrated over your own expectations. And another thing is that I put it into a high yield savings account. So it's growing over time and not just, like I said, collecting dust and like a regular savings that's getting like 0.01% interest. So definitely doing those things in combination. And what I do as well is any money that I have left over from like bills or any leftover money from fund money, I just put all that into my savings for my house and on top of what I already put in there monthly. So it's kind of like just putting in extra here and there where I can and seeing it grow over time without having to think about it. And once I get my goal amount done, then I'll go ahead and take that to the people that I'm going to partner with to find my home. But as of right now, I'm definitely looking into like first time home buyer benefits and things like that for us to lower the down payment that I have to put. And just a whole bunch of different resources that are out there. There are so many resources. So that's another thing. Please do your research about resources that you can use when you are in your first time home buying stage, and talk to a lot of different people because each person will tell you different things. But they also all collectively will have this great knowledge of what is at your fingertips that you can use.
Wow. That is good. Cause I feel like, social media impacts us a lot and we want to keep up, and they got a house and there's this, I want to get a house, they got to bring new car, I want to get a car, but it's like, baby, they don't got debt, or their debt it's less than you, or you don't know. And it's just, there is a lot of pressure that comes with, where you think you would be. Like, I'm 29 at this point, I still live with my parents, grateful, Lord knows I'm not complaining, I'm grateful for it. But I didn't think at this point I would still be here, more so based off my debt and me not being able to afford to not be there. You know what I mean? So it can definitely have a big impact on you mentally and emotionally. I think our last episode we did together, we touched on like finances is not just like, okay, I have no money in my pocket. It takes a toll on you emotionally. Like, there's plenty of times I've sat down and thought about like, okay, how is this going to work? When I'm on my own? Like, is this even possible? And this is me as a single female, no unattached, no kids, let alone having the responsibilities of added mouths to feed and all of that. So what do you do personally when you feel like you are in a state where finances are impacting you mentally and emotionally?
One, I definitely have to bring back to God. You already knew I was going to say that. But the biggest thing is like I said, I balance practicalities with faith. So I will definitely go to my budget sheet, start crunching numbers, see what I need and how I need to get out of it. And then I will go to God, bring it to God and say, like, look, God, this is what it is. This is what the situation is. I need this amount of money. I need to get through this. Show me the way. Guide my path. Lead me. And that's really the biggest thing. But I really get creative with it. I just push harder and I have more faith. And so we tend to like run away when things get hard, but I lean in instead. And that is what really helps me to just get through it rather than trying to avoid it. And then it gets worse. And then it's a big mess at that point.
Yeah, we all try to avoid, when you're swiping, it's like, oh, I know my thing's in the negative, but I don't want to look. It's not real yet.
But I remember we talked about that on one of our episodes. You have to overcome that. I'm not scared to check anymore. I've passed I'm not checking. I've gotten better. Because especially with responsibilities and stuff like that, I no longer can be reckless anymore. Like, so it's just like, okay, every money, I've come to the point, and I don't know if Jada, if that's a thing, or I've come to a point where I know where every dollar and every dollar is going to. So I know my expense and I know how much, you say that towards the end of the month, I have a certain amount. I know that's going to be remaining. That's like my target amount. That means like, well, I stayed within my budget. Your budget. And then that remaining amount, I just transfer it over to like my savings. So it's just like, I think that over the times I've grown a little bit more, where before, like Tati said, I would be scared to check. I'd be like, okay, I'm just not going to check. Or I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, I know I went crazy the night before. I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to check. Or I put that money aside before going out. Okay, next week, if I know I'm going out with my girls, I put aside $100 for the next 3 weeks before that happens. Like, I've come more prepared in a better mindset when it comes to like preparing for spending. Yeah.
I think too, another thing, I could be wrong, but I remember I was talking to my mom not too long ago, I'm showing how to use Zelle and all of these things. She goes, wow. And like, she sent it, she goes, you got it already? I'm like, yeah. She goes, I used to have to go take my check, wait until the bank is open. And if I got paid on a Friday and I didn't have time, I had to wait until Monday, go sign it and cash it out. And I think the easy accessibility to money is great, but also is a downfall in a sense. So for me, what I've noticed, I'm going to swipe and not look. And then when I look, it's red. And I'm like, whoa, how'd we get here? You know what I mean? So what I do with each check, I take out maybe $300 cash and keep that. And that's what I tend to use, obviously, besides the automatic bills and stuff like that. But if I need to run to like, okay, let me go to Target real quick, or I need to go to CVS, things like that you don't necessarily budget for because they're unexpected. I ran out of deodorant. I didn't budget for that, but I need something. Instead of swiping that card, here's the cash. Because for me, seeing it physically dwindle down helps me slow down a lot more than when I'm just here swipe, and I'm not seeing it. Because realistically, I check my bank account because I'm like, let me see the damage. But no one's really checking their bank account every single day. Hey, let me just see. But when you have that cash, you have to see all of it. And you know what I mean? You don't have a choice because you need to count out how much you're giving away. Yeah. So it's like, that has helped me swipe less and keep more money in my pocket because I'm seeing it go away. And that's not what I want. So that's something I think with this financial burden, because of all this easy financial accessibility that our parents' generation didn't have to deal with. I really do think there's a mental connection there. They're seeing those dollars, they're giving it away, they're seeing it go. So even it's like there's some people too, granted, this is just based off movies and stuff like, but like those drug dealer movies when it's like you give them a lot of money and they can like, this is not enough. They just automatically know. It's like there's something to that where it's like, if I know I have this amount of money and this is what $300 feels like, I'm going to know when there's 420s missing out of that. It's going to feel different. That's going to be like, whoa, let me count this. Okay, this is less than I thought I would have had. Versus the plastic card is always going to feel the same no matter how much money is on it or not. So I do think there is definitely like a mental and psychological thing with our generation with money compared to our parents' generation with money. So, that leads to more
There 100%
issues.
is like pointing that out is really, really good because now we can just tap, we can just click on our iPhones. Like it's way too easy. And the biggest thing that I do to combat that is I have it set up to where I get email notifications whenever a transaction happens, so I can see
exactly.
Yes, exactly. I know
that's smart.
That's my Capital One too.
Wow. I need that. My email's gonna be extra full, but that's gonna help me dwindle it down. Why is Santander emailing me so much?
Or I get notifications. I don't know if you get notifications, Jada.
On your phone?
Yeah. I get notification. So if I'm swiping, it's like, $30, $50. And I'm like, okay, slow down. Slow down.
Yeah. Maybe I need to do that because then that's going to make me feel ashamed and be like, girl, what are you doing?
It helps you keep count because it's like math. Okay, I went to the store, I spent $30, now $50. Okay, today, that's a limit. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. I need to set that up. That's holding myself accountable.
Yeah.
Swiping a little bit too much, but So I think we talked about this last time too. Like, what advice would you give to people in our generation, 20s, going into early 30s? Like, how do we not sacrifice living our life, but also wanting to prepare for our life in the future? I think sometimes it's kind of like, I can't go on this trip, but I also haven't been in a trip in over a year. Like, at what point is it kind of like, do I always have to sacrifice? Or is there a way where I can still splurge, honestly, and still meet my financial goals and responsibilities?
So that really just comes down to priorities and also over time and how you deal with delayed gratification. And like I think was mentioned, being prepared for your spending too. So if you know that you want to go on an annual vacation, just start putting the money away every paycheck. And then every year around the same time, you'll have enough to go on that vacation. So it's really just making it smaller increments because we can spend $20 on a smoothie and like some food quickly. So if you're just putting $20 there, and then it builds up, then you'll be able to do what you want to do. And that goes for any fund. And so for the summertime, like I want to have a summer fund. Then, I'll put away during the wintertime when I know it's raining and I'm not doing nothing, not going outside for the summertime. Another thing is it's really based on priorities. So sometimes based on your income, you might have to just pick one or the other. And it's really about what do you want right now? I definitely feel like we shouldn't cut out fun and wants completely because then we're just going to feel like robots working to live and that doesn't feel good. And that's when we become discouraged. That's when we become depressed because we haven't seen our friends for like so long. So it's really about finding that balance and being okay with delayed gratification and knowing what you're okay with. So maybe you go out once every other month or however you feel is comfortable for you. But I know that definitely it can be a possibility. You just have to prepare for it, plan for it, and just be very, very strategic about how you go about that.
That is true because it's like, I'm not thinking about a trip that I want to take in 2025 necessarily. I think about a trip I want to take now, but it's like, I'm thinking about it now, for now. And it's like, where was the money for now? It's not here yet, And I do think too, sometimes it's kind of like, the way we try to save for a rainy day fund, we never try to save for like a fun day fund. Like, I don't know what this is going to be used towards, but maybe a trip comes along in 6 months from now and at least I know I'll have it. And if I don't have it, I'm just going to keep adding to it. But having like, we have a security blanket for emergencies, but let's just have something for like, I know if I want to do it, I have it to do it. And it's like, I'm not scrambling to have the fund for my fun. I already have it readily available to me. So I think a good point.
I think like Dave Ramsey always says, like he has his like steps of like, I don't know if you like Dave Ramsey. I know a lot of like money guru. Okay. He has his pros and cons. So like he always says there's like first step. First step is like battle debt, snowball method, whatever method. The second one is like have $1,000 saved. I think having that emergency $1,000 save is amazing. And I think also if you can also have like $1,000 saved for just like a rainy day is also good.
Yeah.
I know it's like instead of just putting into a saving, but also putting that $1,000 into like, that's like if my girl just says like, I want to go out today, then I know I can take $200 away from it or $200 for, I don't know, a nice Sephora something, so that $1,000 is always sitting and you're always putting it back in, and it just sits at 1,000. You know, that's your, like Jada mentioned, like once you reach your saving goal, then you know you can move away from it. Like that $1,000 could be your saving goal for, I need a trip.
Yeah,
kind of
and
thing.
I have that. That's a good point. That should be.
Oops, I need a trip.
Since you mentioned that, Jada, do you recommend, like, because I feel like, me personally, no matter how much money I have, I feel like I'm living a paycheck to paycheck mentality life, and I don't like that. Is there a certain amount, or do you recommend someone having a certain amount in their checkings at all times? Like, because mine just, it gets. I don't think
you should.
It just keeps going low.
I'm gonna leave it to the experts.
Like, I don't know, like, should someone always have like $1,000 in their checkings? Like, that should always be their baseline of they have something. It's not like this paycheck comes, depending on how much I spend on it, is how much is in my checking account.
So, it's a yes and a no, because it's not tragic to do that, but at the same time, I wouldn't say yes, go ahead and do it. And I'll explain a little bit of both for why. So the first reason why I say not really is only because I separate my accounts based off of purpose. So I have one specifically for bills, and it's a holding account. It's just a revolving account for the money that needs to be there for all my bills that come out automatically. And then I have one for my spending money, and that one completely separate. And I also have all my savings accounts. So there would not really be a need to save money within a checking account. However, I do also put miscellaneous money into all of my accounts just to make sure that they don't hit zero at any time. So I know, okay, I have $170 in my spending account right now. Okay. But then I know I put $20 in there for miscellaneous. So I mentally don't think about the 20, but that 20 is there. And I only leave that just in case. Like, that's like a very, very just in case. And what I call that is a contingency fund. So it's just like making sure that my account doesn't hit zero. That's just in case anything went over by like a couple dollars that I didn't expect it to. So it's not like having my baseline be 1,000 or my baseline be 100. Because even then I flush all my money out of all my accounts before the next payday. So that miscellaneous money, if it's not used, is going to a savings account. So I refresh that contingency fund every single paycheck, if that makes sense.
Yes, so that makes sense.
Yes, and also no.
That makes sense, because I always go back and forth. I'm like, I mean, granted, I need to do better, but sometimes it's just so hard to know what better looks like. And better for each person is very different. And then just with that being said, in terms for you offer so many services and different services for different people's individual needs. What are some of the services you do offer?
So the biggest one is the one-on-one coaching. I call that my VIP budget breakthrough session, because it's really a VIP experience. Like, we're going very in detail for 3 months straight, 2 calls each month for 60 minutes. And on top of that, you have access to ask me questions every single day, and you get top priority and response. And so that is a really great way for us to not only go over the things that you need to implement, but walk you through implementing it. Because I can give you a budget any day, some numbers, slap some numbers on a screen and hand it to you. But it's you actually implementing it that is going to be the biggest leg of work that we're working through, just because when you apply something, it's based on theory. So you don't really know how it actually works until it's implemented. And so if I can have someone go do this specific strategy, and then they come back to me and say, hey, that didn't really work because XYZ. Okay, awesome. Let's go ahead and move over to a different strategy and redirect ourselves. And so I like that trial and error to happen while I'm here, so that I can help them start getting into the creative mindset of there's different avenues and there's different ways that I can always manage my money. I don't have to just be in this specific cookie cutter lane of how I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, So that was the first one. Sorry. And then after that, I do have consultation calls. Those are just for an hour. So if you want to just pop in and really get some good work done, we can definitely do that. I don't just say, "Hi, how is your day today? What is your name?" Like, no, we get right to it, and we don't waste a single minute in that hour session. I also do have a customized budget plan, so that if you want to meet with me for a full hour, and then I also create a complete budget plan for you. And so basically I do give you the numbers and then the implementation is on you. But after that, you can book consultation calls with me to like kind of go over what has been working or not, what has been working and what has not been working. And then lastly, the other service that I have is really just workshops. So it's not necessarily like a service, but it's more so, hey, you want to learn some more information, come do a workshop with me, pop into anyone that I have, and then you can ask your questions there and get them answered.
Okay.
Love it.
I love that. I think the last area I'm kind of going to dig into is that I feel like when we first met, you were, a budget coach, but now I'm going to give you the title, if you haven't given it to yourself, social media influencer. Tell us about that. Like, let's separate it for a second. Yes, you influence about finances, but how is that aspect? Because now essentially that is also part of your job, So how is that realm and how did that growth happen? I know you said through God, but like, was there a specific post that went viral, or like, was there a defining moment where you're just like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing now. Like, this is who I am. Social media is now a part of the Greenline Planner.
So I knew social media had to be a part of it from the jump, and I did not like that. I was not a content creator at heart. I was like, I don't even like looking at myself, hearing myself when it comes down to video and content. So it was a really big thing for me to get over in the beginning. But when I actually got laid off from my last job, I just knew God was going to do something. I just kept the faith. I was actually smiling in the room when he was firing me, and I was like, "Yeah, it's okay. I already know God's going to.
He got me.
Period."
After that, a video did go viral, and on TikTok and on Instagram. Now it has like over 1 million views on both of them, and I'm like, wow! And I got so many followers in a very, very short amount of time. I literally, before I got fired, went from 1,000 followers all the way up to like 15K in maybe just like a month or two. And so it was a really huge increase. And the video was really just a handwritten video of me explaining how to do a budget. And people were very intrigued. They were very, very intrigued. And I wasn't expecting it. So once I started seeing how I was getting paid through TikTok, and I can share some numbers from TikTok, that one video that did viral on there, I think I got paid like maybe $1,200 to $1,300 just for that one video. So I was like, wait a minute. I said, I can do this, make one video and get paid. I said, let's try this. So I started taking content creation a lot more seriously after that. And also after the following girls, okay, people are going to expect me to follow up now. So I need to actually come with some more content. And I just started doing more research about like the best video quality and how to do this, and studying other people that are in different industries and how they're really captivating their audience with their content. So I do a lot of studying of other people to then help influence what I do. I definitely go to God about it and ask for strategy. So all those things. But I will say it does get a little draining just because I feel like I always have to be posting and be on social media. And there is that fear of like, if I take a social media fast for a week, where like are all my people gonna go away? And so I have to get out of that and really just trust that, okay, God, if you tell me to take a social media fast for a week, I will. And I know that you got me. I know that you're gonna keep everybody intact. My number's not gonna drop, and I'm not gonna come back, and then my views are gonna be low again. So I just have to really get out of that fear, because it just feels like a rat race of having to just keep doing better than the next thing. And so that kind of like a lot of pressure. But I'm still working on that.
One thing. Oh, go ahead, Ellie.
I know that you just hired I don't know if they're still working with you, but I know you were looking for an assistant or like another person to help other people budget. Is that still, you still have that person on your team?
So kind of. So they don't help other people budget, but they are interns. So I have 2 interns. They basically work not for free, because I technically budget. I coach them on how to be a budget coach. So they were interested in the field, and they said, hey, is there any help that I can do for you? And I was like, yeah, of course. Like there's always stuff to do. So they really get a lot of hands-on experience with working with me behind the scenes, helping me with a lot of content creation and strategy planning and all these things. And so then I also on the side have them schedule their own sessions with me so I can help them grow their businesses. So that was really the exchange that I had. And they, they loved it. They were only supposed to be with me for 3 months, but they're like, we want more. So
I love that. I love that.
So nice.
And you're able to give back in a different way. So, and I think it's kind of very much the mentality of, it's like they say you can give a person a fish or you can teach them how to fish for themselves. And I think that's definitely what you're doing with them. And sometimes it's kind of like with money and inflation, we're just like, I need an opportunity that's going to give me money. But sometimes the knowledge is worth more. And it's a very hard decision to make, whether you're going to take money. Like a lot of people take unpaid internships or very, very low paying internships. But it's like, because this opportunity in itself would be more beneficial financially in the long run when I actually know how to do it, versus taking a bigger pay now. So that's good for you giving back. Good for you. I had a question and I lost it. Oh, this is what I was going to say. So when you said about the wanting to take a social media break, we and Ellie can relate because sometimes it's like, I don't want to post. Like, I'm tired of it. But definitely, I think just using the feature on Instagram where you can schedule your posts. So if you schedule out for the week, you can still technically not be on, but you're still engaging with your audience. So that's just a tip or trick for anyone out there who's also into social media, but sometimes it can get draining and you do feel like the call to take a step back, but you're afraid. Like, you can just schedule your posts and still not be active for yourself on social media.
Yeah.
So that was just
that's very true. And I need to do better at that because when I tell you I create on the fly, Like, I do not start.
But anyways, guys, this was a great episode. I'm happy we got to catch up and that you've done so much since the last time that we saw you. And I already know we're going to have you again for the 4th time. So it's just like, you're just the ongoing recurrent guest that we're going to always continue to have. So I know by the next time we have you, there's going to be so much more that you've accomplished. Guys, this is obviously our Melanin Monday for the episode. Yay. So all of her information will be on our Instagram page. So go ahead and look for that. And she's been our Melanin Monday for I guess this is going to be the 3rd time now. So she will be up there again. And now it's time for my favorite brand. And like I said, when we have our guests, we let our guests take over. So Jada, go ahead, tell us about something that you use or whatever you would like to share with the audience.
So as a budget queen, I love to get deals when I go shopping. And one of the biggest places that I love to shop at is Plato's Closet. Not only can you take your old clothes and get money for them, okay, so you can then fund your shopping, but you can also find some really, really nice clothes for very, very discounted prices. My entire outfit that I have on right now is from Plato's Closet. And I can tell you this top was probably like $4 and this little sport thing was probably like $8. So it's really, really discounted. I absolutely love going there first to find anything that I need. So shout out to Plato's. Y'all are really doing it. And I love how we're also being sustainable for the earth too, because we're not just doing fast fashion. We're actually reusing items. And so it's a cool way to thrift, but you don't have to sift through all the very, very old items that you don't necessarily want. You can go to Plato's and know that they're going to have very fashionable things, and so you know for a fact that they're going to have what you're looking for.
That's good. There used to be one for those who live in the Boston area. There used to be one in Dedham. I don't know if it's still there. I remember I've gotten a couple of items from there. Very cute pieces, very affordable pieces too. So I actually need to go take a look, and if they're still there, go there myself. But yes, if you guys are located in Boston, Google it. There was one in Dedham. Not too sure if it's still there though. But yeah, guys, that was our episode. Jada, once again, thank you for coming. If you guys want her services, like I said, everything will be on our Instagram page. I highly, highly, highly recommend, because at this point, it's not like she's just, talking to talk. Baby, the past couple of months of her life shows that she's about what she's talking about. She knows through God, through her elevation and getting a new place and all of that. So she's basically a walking advertisement for herself. So go ahead. The proof is in the pudding. Okay. So go ahead and book her for all your financial needs and services. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Good Luck Sis. Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.